שנכנס סודה מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס סודה מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס סודה מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס סודה מרבים בשמחה מרבים בשמחה מרבים בשמחה מרבים בשמחה מרבים בשמחה תשיו שמו יסולו נצח וסקבו שם בכל דוי ודוי בכל דוי ודוי בכל דוי ודוי תשיו שמו יסולו נצח בכל דוי ודוי בכל דוי ודוי תשיו שמו יסולו נצח תשיו שמו יסולו נצח וסקבו שם בכל דוי ודוי תשיו שמו יסולו נצח וסקבו שם בכל דוי ודוי איי ליי 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 איי ליי 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 איי ליי ליי ליי
A little better. Okay. Third one. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. All right. Now, before we read from the first chapter, let me give you a summary of the first chapter. The chapter begins in the country of Persia, in the city of Shushan, and the king, whose name is Achashverosh, is having a party for all of the males, the kings, the princes, all of the other rulers of neighboring kingdoms. And he's doing it to have sort of what we would say a wine and dine relationship with them.
Empieza la historia con el rey Asuero y él tiene unas celebraciones, están destinadas a puros hombres, príncipes, reyes de otros reinos, y básicamente una convivencia de vino y comida.
At the same time, his queen, Vashti, is having a similar party for all of the female rulers, the queens, the princesses, etc.
Y al mismo tiempo, la reina Vashti tiene una celebración de su parte, pero ahora para todas las mujeres también, princesas, reinas de los reinos contiguos.
Now, all of a sudden, the king decides that he wants to invite Vashti to entertain the men.
Y de la nada, el rey Asuero decide que quiere que la reina Vashti venga y entretenga a la gente que está ahí con él.
Now, you can use your own imagination what kind of entertainment she was expected to perform to show off how beautiful she was.
Y de ella se pedía que mostrara su hermosura, y eso es lo que el rey Asuero quería. Podemos imaginarnos qué tipo de presentación quiso que ella hiciera.
Now, this is very important. You know that King Ahasuerus is not Jewish, and neither is Vashti.
Y es importante saber o notar que ni el rey Asuero ni Vashti eran judíos.
And Vashti refuses.
Entonces Vashti, la reina Vashti, decide ella no lo va a hacer.
Now, this is why it's very important, because this took place in Persia. Today, Persia is Iran.
Y es importante saber esto porque esto sucede en el reino persa, lo que es ahora Irán.
This is a very courageous act of Vashti.
Y esto fue algo que hizo con mucha valentía lo que hizo Vashti.
If this would take place today, the king would be accused of sexual harassment.
Si esto sucediera en estos días, al rey se le diría que estaba haciendo
I've always wanted to know how to say this in Spanish.
acoso sexual.
Thank you very much. I add that to my vocabulary. Well, the king could have had Vashti executed.
Ahora el rey pudo haber mandado matar a Vashti,
but instead he had her banished.
pero en vez de eso la echó fuera del reino.
And from that day until today,
Y desde ese día hasta hoy,
there is a rule in the country of Iran
hay una regla o un reglamento en el país de Irán
that the man shall rule the household and have complete control over the woman.
que el hombre controla su hogar y controla a su mujer.
By the way, it's also very relevant because tomorrow is actually International Women's Day all over the world.
Es importante también hacer notar que el día de mañana a nivel mundial es el Día Internacional de la Mujer.
And this is a time in which we recognize the importance of women, the freedom of women, and the rights of women to live their lives according to their desires.
Y para esto marca el que la mujer tiene libertad, tiene derechos y puede vivir su vida de acuerdo a lo que ella decida.
So now, with Blanca's permissions, speaking of women,
Con mi permiso, hablando de mujeres, sí se puede, Rabbi.
I will chant in Hebrew the first 6 verses of the book of Esther. It's at the bottom of page 1.
El rabino nos leerá la lectura en hebreo, en la página 1.
Vayehi bimei Achashverosh, Achashverosh, Hamolech mehodu v'yad Kush, Sheva v'yasrim u'meya Medina, Bayamim ha'haim, Kashevet ha'melech Achashverosh, al kisei malchuto, asher b'Shushan ha'bira, Bishnat Shalosh Malko, Asa Mishteh, V'chol Saravi Avadav, Chel v'Parahas, Umadai Hapartumim, V'Sarei HaMedinot, Lifanav, V'Rato, Et Aser Kavod Machuto, V'Et Yikar, Yiferet Gidulato, Yamim Rabim, Shmonim U'Me'ayom, U'Melaot U'Melahod, V'Yamim Ha'ele, Asei HaMelech, L'chol Ha'am, Hanimsaim b'Shushan habiraha l'migdovi ad katon mishteh shivat yamihim v'chatzer yinat beitan hamelech kor karpas dechelet achuz b'chavlei abud v'argaman aglilei kesef yamud sheshmatot zahav v'kosef al vat kavashesh v'dai v'soharet. Now, if you turn to page 2, you'll see the translation. I'm not going to dwell on the translation of each chapter because I've already given you a summary, but you can follow the first 6 verses in English and in Spanish.
Y tenemos en nuestro programa las traducciones al inglés y al español. El rabino ya nos dio una breve reseña del capítulo 1. Ahora seguimos capítulo 2.
Now let me give you a summary of chapter 2.
Les daré la reseña del capítulo 2.
We learn of a man by the name of Mordecai, who is the head of the Jewish community.
Aquí vamos a aprender sobre este personaje Mordecai, que es miembro de la comunidad judía.
The book of Esther is very clear. Esther is Mordecai's cousin.
Y el libro de Esther es muy claro al decir que Esther es prima de Mordecai.
But she was an orphan, and Mordecai raised her as his own child.
Y ella era huérfana y Mardoqueo la cría como si fuera su propia hija.
And now we have where crypto-Judaism takes part in the story.
Y aquí es donde encontramos la parte del criptojudaísmo en esta historia.
The kingdom decides that they're going to have a beauty contest to select a new queen.
La corte imperial decide que van a tener esta actividad para escoger una nueva reina.
Esther is very beautiful, and she enters the contest.
Esther es una persona muy hermosa y decide entrar en esta competencia.
But Mordecai tells her, do not reveal the fact that you are of the Jewish faith.
Pero Mardoqueo le indica, no reveles que tú provienes de la fe judía.
And later on, we'll find out what happens.
Y más adelante sabremos qué sucede.
With this, one of the first secret Jews in history.
Con una de las primeras criptojudías de la historia.
And now I will read at the bottom of page 2, the first 4 verses of chapter 2.
En la página 3 leerá los primeros versículos del capítulo 3.
Achar hadavarim ha'ele shachamad hamalech Achashverosh zachor et Vashti v'et asher asta v'et asher nigza aleha vayomru na'arei hamelech mishartav yevakshu melech mi'arot betulohot tovot marehem vayafkad hamelech Pikidim bechol medinot malchuto vikvetsu ekona arabetula tovat mareh el Shushan habira el beit hanashim el yahad v'neg Miriam hamalech shomer v'hanashim v'naftu v'martu kehen v'nara asher teita v'nei hamelech timloch tachat Vashti v'tana davar v'nei hamelech. Now you can find on page 3, again, the translation of the first 4 verses of chapter 2 in English and in Spanish.
Y en la página 3 podemos encontrar la traducción al inglés y al español de los primeros 4 versículos del capítulo 2.
Now, in chapter 3, the evil Haman's name will be mentioned for the first time.
Ahora en el capítulo 3 vamos a encontrar ya el nombre del malvado Hamán ser mencionado.
So, and tonight we're going to have 2 contests.
Esta noche vamos a tener 2 concursos.
One for the most creative and noisiest noisemaker.
Una va a ser el concurso de la matraca más ruidosa o algo que hace más ruido.
And later on for the most creative and most original costume.
Y más tarde tendremos el concurso para los disfraces, el más original y el más tradicional.
So now I'm going to ask whoever made a noisemaker, if you can, to please stand up.
Entonces, aquellos que trajeron y que crearon su propio matraca o para hacer ruido, que se pongan de pie.
That's it? I think he won. All right, everybody who has a noisemaker, stand up and shake your noisemakers. All right, so Blanca and Ray are going to, because you made one, so you can't do this judging. Blanca and Ray will come over to me a little bit later on, not only to tell me who is the best noisemaker and the loudest noisemaker, but whether or not you did the noisemaker when Haman's name was mentioned.
Ándale. So, entre Ray y yo vamos a ver quién trajo la matraca que hace más ruido o más original y que efectivamente la estén utilizando durante la lectura.
All right.
Ray, you have homework.
So get your noisemakers ready.
Así que, listos para hacer ruido.
All right, now I'm going to give you a summary of chapter 3.
Ahora, pero empezamos primero con la reseña breve del capítulo 3.
It is the first mention of the evil Haman.
Se menciona por primera vez al malvado Amán.
Very good. Somebody has a stomach ache, it sounds like. All right. Haman all right, becomes, there's another rule, just so that we don't stay here till midnight. And that is when I raise my hand, you stop the noisemaker.
Entonces, cuando el rabino levante la mano, paramos de hacer ruido, si no, nunca nos vamos.
King Ahasuerus decides that Haman
El rey Asuero decide que Amán
will be directly under him in terms of authority. We might say he's the prime minister.
será como su primer ministro, estará directamente bajo la autoridad del rey.
And the first thing that Haman
Lo primero que hace Amán
orders is for everyone to bow down to him when he walks through the streets.
lo que ordena es que a él, al pasar por las calles, la gente debe de honrarle haciendo reverencia.
Mordecai says, I will only bow to my God.
Mardoqueo dice, yo solo me postraré ante mi Dios.
Thank you, Dora. And therefore, this actually is very serious. This becomes the first really overt anti-Semitic act that takes place for no reason. Haman decides and gets permission from King Ahasuerus to kill the Jews.
Y aquí vemos por primera vez en la historia esta situación antisemita donde por ninguna razón se centra el odio en los judíos y el rey Asuero le permite lo que él está planeando.
Ahasuerus really doesn't understand why,
Asuero no entiende por qué de esta decisión,
but he agrees to give Haman all the money necessary to complete the act.
pero el rey Asuero acepta la propuesta y aún le da dinero para que lleve a cabo su plan.
And by the way, this is also very serious, because whether it was the Holocaust, whether it was the Spanish Inquisition, whether it other acts of attempted genocide toward the Jewish people, it costs money. It costs money to build gas chambers. It costs money to find devices to torture the Jews. And people, the governments were willing to pay to kill people and to torture people. A horrible lesson.
Esto es algo muy serio y lamentable, el saber que para llevar a cabo atrocidades como el Holocausto, como la Inquisición, como otros tipos de donde darle muerte a los judíos, conllevaba dinero y aún los gobiernos estaban dispuestos a financiar estos actos tan horrendos.
Something else that's important in this chapter. Mordecai happens to overhear two of the king's officers plotting to kill the king. Their names are Bigtan and Teresh.
Otra cosa importante en este capítulo es Mardoqueo escucha a unas personas que estaban bajo el reino complotearse para darle muerte al rey.
And this act of heroism on Mordecai's part is written in the king's book of records.
Y este acto de heroísmo de parte de Mardoqueo está escrito en el libro, en los récords del reino.
Because it was investigated, and indeed, Mordecai saved the king's life.
Porque se investiga y efectivamente Mardoqueo salva la vida del rey.
All right, now I'm going to read the first 4 verses of chapter 3, in which Haman's name is mentioned.
Leerá el rabino ahora los primeros 4 versículos del capítulo 3, donde se menciona el nombre de Amán.
How come they don't boo when you say Haman?
I know, right? They're missing that.
Thank you. But when you boo when she says it, do it in Spanish. All right, here we go. Achahar hadvarim ha'ele gidel hamelech Ahasuerus et Haman ben Hamidaso ha'agagim Rabbi Ephraim ekiso me'al kol yisharim asher ito v'chol avdei hamelech asher b'sha'ar hamelech hiraham u'mishtakavim le'Haman. Kichein tzivalo hamelech Mordechai lo yikra v'lo yishtachaveh vayomru avdei hamelech asher sheshet hamelech leMordechai madua ta'over et mitzvah hamelech vayehi ve'amram elav yom yom v'lo shamei aleihem vayagiru leHaman l'rod v'yamdu divrei Mordechai Higid lahem asher hu Yehudi. And now on the page, what page are we at? Page 4, thank you. On page 4, you will see the Spanish and the English of that chapter that I summarized. All right, before we go on to our next chapter, we're going to sing a Purim song, which you see on page 4.
En página 4 de nuevo encontramos la traducción inglés-español del capítulo que se leyó y una canción de Purim.
Now, some of you, I think, know the song and some of you don't.
Algunos quizás sabrán la canción, otros no.
So I'm going to first start with the chorus, and once I sing it once, you'll get it. So the chorus goes like this. We're on page 4, a wicked, wicked man.
Empezamos en el capítulo 4, el coro de la canción, un hombre malo, malo.
Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nasham Hamintashin. All right, from the beginning, join with me if you can. Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He would have murdered all the Jews. They were not to blame, sir. Oh, today will. Oh, today. Oh, today. And Nasham Hamintashin. And Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he'd kill us all, oh my, how he did scare us. Oh, today will. Oh, today will. Oh, today will. And Nasham Hamintashin, but Mordechai, her cousin, both said, what a dreadful chutzpah. If guns were but invented now, the same man I would shoot, sir. Oh, today will. Oh, today. Oh, today will. And Nasham Hamintashin, when Esther speaking to the king of Haman's plotmate, said he, oh no, he won't. I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today will. Oh, today. Oh, today. And Nasham Hamintashin, the guest of honor he shall be, the clever Mr. Smarty, and high above us he shall swing at a little hanging party. Oh, today will. Oh, today. Oh, today will. and Anusim Center of all his cruel and unkind ways. This little joke did cure him. And don't forget, we owe him thanks for the jolly feast of Purim. Oh, today. Oh, today. Oh, today will. And Anusim Center. That was very good. All right, we go now. A summary of chapter 4 on page 5.
Ahora la reseña del capítulo 4 en página 5.
Mordecai goes to Esther and says, you must plead with the king to save our people.
Mardoqueo va con la reina Esther y le dice, tú tienes que pedir por tu pueblo.
Esther says, you must hold a fast and pray for me, because if I go to the king without his permission, even though I'm the queen, he could actually have me executed.
Y Esther le pide que ore por ella y ayune por ella, porque si ella se presenta al rey sin ser llamada, ella puede recibir la muerte.
As we learned in the first chapter, men had the rule over the women.
Como leíamos en capítulo 1, el hombre dominaba sobre la mujer.
And the king had complete rule over his queen.
Y el rey tenía completo dominio sobre su reina.
All right, so now I'm going to read in the Hebrew, top of page 5, chapter 4. Umordechai yada et ka'asher na'aseh vayikra Mordechai v'yet bigadav v'yilbash sa'at v'yeter v'yetzeh v'to ha'ir v'yizak akzak hagadola umaraha v'yavo ad b'nei sha'ar hamelech K'ein lavoho el sha'ar hamelech bilbus sahag b'chol medina u'medina Mako Masher Devar Hamelech Vidato Magia Abel Gadol Yehudim Bitzom Uvechi Masbeit Sak Vefer Yatal Rabihim Vatavona Narut Esther Visarisa Vegidulaha Vatin Halel Makami Od Yishlak Begadim Babish et Mordechai Laser Sako. All right, now we're going to have a summary of chapter 5.
Y ahora tendremos la reseña del capítulo 5.
So Esther risks her life and she goes to the king without his permission.
Así que Esther decide arriesgar su vida y se presenta ante el rey sin su permiso.
And the king looks at her and makes a decision very quickly.
Pero el rey al verla decide muy rápido.
Should I punish her for her disrespect?
¿La castigo porque me faltó al respeto?
Or should I welcome her?
¿O le doy la bienvenida?
And of course, beauty always beats the beast.
Y bueno, la belleza gana sobre la bestia.
So he basically says, come on in, Queenie.
Y le dice, bienvenida, reinita.
What can I do for you?
¿Qué puedo hacer por ti?
And she says, all I want is that you and Haman
ella, yo lo único que quiero es que tú y Amán.
Thank you. See, equal opportunity. Come to a feast that I will be holding.
Vengan a un festín que les voy a preparar.
And he agrees.
Y él está de acuerdo.
At the end of the chapter, however,
al final del capítulo lo que encontramos,
Haman's wife,
la esposa de Amán,
her name is Zeresh,
su nombre es Zeresh,
sees that Haman, her husband,
ve que Amán, su esposo,
is very depressed.
está muy deprimido.
And she says, what's the matter, Haman, honey?
¿Qué te pasa, querido Amán?
That's how she called him affectionately, Haman, honey.
Dulce, mielecita, Amán.
And he says to her, Zeresh, my love, I am very depressed because every time I see that Mordecai, sorry, a couple of yays for Mordecai, not too many. Every time I see that Mordecai, I want to kill him.
Le dice ella, ¿qué te pasa? ¿Qué te tribula? Y él dice, es que cada vez que veo ese Mardoqueo, lo quiero matar.
So Zeresh says, Haman, honey,
Amán, querido, mielecita. Amán.
I have a great idea. Why don't you go to the king and tell the king that you want to build gallows in which to hang a terrible, terrible person in the kingdom? That will make you feel better.
Le da a ella la idea, ¿por qué no te presentas ante el rey y le dices que te permita erigir una
Gallows, yes. Yes.
Una horca, no sé si es la horca, para darle muerte a una persona muy malvada en el reino.
And so Haman,
Entonces, Amán,
he says that's a great idea.
muy buena idea.
All right, now we come to chapter 6.
Ahora empezamos el capítulo 6.
And that is on,
Page 6.
that's on page 6. But before we do it, I have another Purim song.
Antes de empezar el capítulo 6, vamos a cantar.
So this song is very, very popular. It's very short, very popular. And the idea is to sing it as fast as you possibly can.
Es una canción bien corta, muy popular, pero la idea es que la cantemos muy a prisa.
There's only 3 lines to the song.
Son nada más 3 párrafos a la canción.
And it's basically saying that when you're in the advice that Haman gave the king to kill all the Jews.
La canción indica de lo que hizo Amán.
Dabru davar velo yakum, which means those words never happened.
Dabar dabar yakum significa que esas palabras nunca se llevaron a cabo.
Why? Ki Immanuel.
¿Por qué razón? Ki Immanuel.
Which means because God is with us.
Porque Dios está con nosotros.
So I'm going to sing the song. Please turn to 6. Very slowly, but faster and faster and faster. If you can keep up with me, no big deal. I'm 78.
Empezaremos lento, pero iremos haciéndolo más a prisa, a ver si alcanzamos al rabino. Tiene 78 años. Sí lo vamos a alcanzar.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Here we go. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Immanuel. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Immanuel, a little faster. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Immanuel. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Immanuel, a little faster. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Immanuel. Utsu eitza vetu bar dabru davar velo yakum. Immanuel, a little faster. Utsu eitza vetu bar Dabru dabar velo yakum. Uche tavitavar dabru dabar velo yakum ki Manuel. Uche tavitavar dabru dabar velo yakum ki Manuel. Pastor. Uche tavitavar dabru dabar velo yakum. Uche tavitavar dabru dabar velo yakum ki Manuel. Uche tavitavar dabru dabar velo yakum ki Manuel. Anyone have oxygen? All righty. Now that we sang that song, we're going to have the costume parade.
Ahora sí, viene.
Anybody in costume, male, female, anybody, children, people of all ages, people of any type whatsoever, please walk around and do the costume as we'll sing Utuetza very slowly this time.
Vengan quienes están con disfraces.
And our judges look very careful. By the way, this
Who are our judges? ¿Quiénes son nuestros
there
jueces?
anyone that comes in costume or any of the kids, there'll be a prize anyway. But we have a really good gift certificate, $100 gift certificate for the most creative
You are
and
our
the
judge.
most original.
Ah,
We keep changing the categories. The most
most traditional.
traditional and most creative. All right. So start marching around so the judges can see you. Walk all around the tables. Here we go. All right. Go ahead. I see somebody. Are you here to fight me? So we're gonna have a fight. Utsu Eitza Vetuhukar. Walk around. Dabru Dabar Velo Yakum. Utsu Eitza Vetuhukar. Dabru Dabar Velo Yakum. Imanu. Last time around. All right. We now do a summary of chapter 6. I hope you remember where we left off.
Okay, so for our judges to take notes, when will we give the
We will give it at the very end.
Okay.
At the very end, we will give the prizes. All right. All right, so chapter 6.
Ahora sí, en la reseña del capítulo 6, daremos los premios al final.
That night,
Esa noche,
King Ahasuerus cannot sleep.
el rey Asuero no puede dormir
And in order to fall asleep, he asks his secretary to read from him from the royal book of records.
y para conciliar el sueño le pide a su visir que lea el libro de recuento del reino.
At the same time,
Al mismo tiempo,
Haman goes into the palace
Amán,
to ask the purpose is to ask the king's permission to build these gallows to hang this man.
iba al palacio para pedirle al rey que le permita construir la horca y poder darle muerte a esta persona.
Well, the king doesn't know that.
El rey no sabe esto.
the secretary reads from the royal records of a man by the name of Mordecai who saved the king's life.
Pero en ese momento el secretario le está leyendo al rey sobre el recuento de este Mardoqueo que le salvó la vida al rey.
And the king says, have we rewarded this man? He saved my life.
Y el rey pregunta, ¿acaso le dimos recompensa a este hombre que salvó mi vida?
And the secretary said, not yet.
Y el secretario le indica que aún no.
And the king says, there's no time like the present.
Y el rey le contesta, bueno, no hay tiempo como el de ahorita.
He says, I need help to reward this man.
Necesito ayuda para recompensar a este hombre.
Is anyone in the palace right now? It's early in the morning.
Ahora, quizás haya alguien en el palacio, es muy temprano en el día.
He says, yes, Haman.
Le contesta, sí, Amán.
Haman is here.
Amán está aquí.
And he has a request for you.
Y tiene una petición para usted.
He says, send him in.
Y el rey indica que pase.
So Haman comes into where the king is.
Y Amán está donde está el rey.
And the king says to Haman,
Y el rey le dice a Amán,
there is a man in the kingdom who I want to thank very, very much.
y el rey le dice, hay un hombre en el reino a quien yo quiero agradecerle.
He's a wonderful man who actually saves my life.
Es un hombre maravilloso que de hecho salvó mi vida.
Haman thinks
Y Amán piensa
that he's talking about him.
que está hablando de él.
And then the king says to Haman,
Luego el rey le dice a Amán,
okay, this is what you're going to do.
dice, bueno, esto es lo que tú vas a hacer.
You know that guy Mordecai?
¿Tú sabes ese hombre Mardoqueo?
I want you to dress him up in the king's royal outfit.
Lo vistas con las vestiduras del rey,
Put him on the king's royal horse
lo pones en el corcel del rey
and have a ticker tape parade down the streets of Shushan.
y lo llevas en desfile por las calles de Shushan.
And everyone will applaud Mordecai.
Y todo el mundo aplaudirá a Mardoqueo.
By the way, this is why we dress up, because Mordecai was dressed up because he was the hero.
Y esta es la razón por la que nosotros usamos vestiduras diferentes porque Mardoqueo lo vistieron así.
And the next day they had the big parade, and Haman
El día siguiente tienen esta gran desfile y Amán
had to lead his arch enemy Mordecai down the streets.
tuvo que liderar a su archienemigo en las calles de Shushan.
And that's what it means when it says what goes around comes around.
Y eso es lo que se conoce como lo que se da, regresa.
Now I'm going to read the first three verses of chapter 6 on page 6.
Y el rabino leerá los primeros 3 versículos del capítulo 6, página 6.
Balailahu nadida shenat hamelech vayamela the ed sefer hazifronot divrei hayamim vayu yikrehem lifnei hamelech umatzah latuv asher higid Mordechai al biktanav teresh shnei sarisav hamelech mishamrei hasav asher bakshu lishloach yad v'melech haserot vayomer hamelech Mana aseh yakagdu la Mordechai al zeh vayamru narei hamelech mishartav lo naaseh imo davar. All right, turn now to page 7, where you will find the English and Spanish of what I just talked about.
En página 7 encontramos el inglés y el español de la lectura que se acaba de hacer.
Now we start chapter 7.
Y comenzamos con el capítulo 7.
So remember, there's a feast now at the king's chambers in which Esther has invited Haman.
Recordemos que ahora hay otro festín donde Esther invita a Amán
And the king
y al rey
to this feast.
a esta comida, a este festín.
Now, according to one of the commentators,
De acuerdo a uno de los comentarios,
not me necessarily,
que necesariamente son muy rabinos,
Haman
Amán
actually thinks that Esther is interested in him.
piensa que Esther muestra interés por él
And that the king's going to get drunk,
y que al rey al ponerse borracho,
and then Esther and Haman
a haber posibilidad de algo con Esther.
use your imagination,
Usen su imaginación.
but nothing happens.
Pero no pasó nada.
After the festival is over,
Después de que este festín se termina,
the queen says, let's have another feast.
la reina y dice, vamos a tener otra comida.
And at that feast,
Y en esa comida
she reveals to the king that she is Jewish.
le revela al rey que ella es judía
And she says, there's someone in this room that wants to kill me.
y hay alguien en esta habitación que quiere darme muerte.
Now, as I told you before, the king's elevator did not go up to the top floor.
Como les decía, el elevador del rey no llegaba hasta el último piso.
So he's looking around.
Se empieza a ver alrededor de él,
He sees Esther.
ve a Esther,
She doesn't want to kill herself.
no se quiere dar muerte ella sola.
He sees himself, says, I don't want to kill her.
Se ve a sí mismo y dice, yo no le quiero dar muerte.
So using every brain cell he has,
Y utilizando todas las células de su cerebro,
he looks Haman
ve a Amán
in the eye,
a los ojos,
goes like this,
a los ojos,
and says, Haman, why do you want to kill my wife?
y le pregunta a Amán, ¿por qué quieres darle muerte a mi mujer?
And then Esther says, remember, not only does he want to kill me, and I am a Jew,
Y le dice, Esther, recuerda, no solamente quiere darme muerte a mí como judía,
it was my cousin Mordecai who saved your life.
fue mi primo Mordejai Mardoqueo quien salvó tu vida.
We, the Jewish people, are a good people.
Nosotros los judíos somos buenas personas.
Give us the opportunity to serve you.
Danos la oportunidad de servirte.
And then Haman is ordered
Y es ahí donde Amán le ordena
to be hanged on the gallows that he built for Mordecai.
se ordena que a Amán se le dé muerte en la horca que mandó construir para Mardoqueo.
All right, now turn to page 7. I'm going to read the first 3 verses of chapter 7.
Leerá el rabino los primeros 3 versículos del capítulo 7, página 7.
But be careful because there you're going to find the name of you-know-who.
Y pongan atención, ya saben a quién se van a encontrar.
Vayavo hamelech v'haman lishtot im Esther hamalkaha vayomer hamelech li Esther gam b'yom hasheni b'mishteh hayayin mashleitich Esther hamalkaha v'tiniten la umavakeshpesh ad chatzi hamalchut v'ta'as v'tan Esther hamalkaha v'tomer imatzatihen B'yeinecha hamelech v'yim al hamelech tov tinchal nimsha b'shelot b'yami bakashti. All right, on page 7, we have another song called Hag Purim.
Tenemos otra canción, Hag Purim.
Now, during the chorus, we make the sound of the noisemaker. So those that have noisemakers, you need to do this. Look at the refrain. The refrain goes like this. By the way, the Hebrew word for noisemaker is ra'ashan.
La palabra en hebreo para la matraca es ra'ashan.
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 And what's it in Spanish?
Matraca.
And who found that?
You.
Thank you. Actually, it means rattle. Okay, so here's the chorus. Oh, there's a typo here. It shouldn't be Rava.
No.
I didn't catch that one. It should be Hava. Okay, it goes like this. Havana Risha, rush, rush, rush. Havana Risha, rush, rush, rush. Havana Risha, rush, rush, rush. Barashanim. Now I want you to do it. Those that have noisemakers, do it with the noisemakers. Havana Risha. Havana Risha. Havana Risha. Barashanim. From the beginning. Hag Purim, Hag Purim, Hagadohu Layehudim, Masechot, Rashanim, Zemira Berikudim, Havana Risha, Havana Risha, Havana Risha, Barashanim, Hag Purim, Ze'el Ze Sholchim Manot, Mahmadim, Mamtakim, Tupinim, Amigdanot, Havana Risha, Havana Risha, Havana Risha, Barashanim. And now in English. Purim Day, gladsome, joyous holiday, happy throngs, singing songs, masked and dancing play. Round go the groggers, rush, 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 round go the groggers. Round go the groggers, for this is Purim Day. All righty, we now come to chapter 8.
Entramos al capítulo 8, página 8.
In chapter 8, the king gives his ring to Mordecai, making Mordecai the prime minister instead of Haman.
Capítulo vemos que el rey le da su anillo a Mardoqueo y lo hace ahora su primer ministro en vez de Amán.
Mordecai sends letters to all of the provinces, and the Jews are allowed to defend themselves against those that want to kill them.
Y Mardoqueo manda misivas a todos los judíos de la nación para que se defiendan de las agresiones.
Two customs are mentioned in this chapter.
Y aquí se mencionan dos costumbres.
One is called Shalach Manot.
Uno de ellos es el Shalach Manot.
In which we give our friends and our neighbors some goodies, some things to show our love for them.
Donde mostramos el amor que tenemos a nuestros familiares y amigos, dándoles algo.
And Matanot Le'evyonim.
Y el Matanot
Le'evyonim. Which means give something to help the poor.
Que significa dar algo para apoyar a los pobres.
We decided in our Anusim Center
y decidimos aquí en el Centro Anusim
that we would give our Shalach Manot to the Child Crisis Center.
Que nuestro Shalach Manot sería para el Centro de Crisis de Niños aquí en El Paso.
So we have gifts for them. Our Purim gifts go to them so they can celebrate. Purim is a holiday where all faiths have to understand the importance of getting along and loving one another.
Y aquí nosotros lo que queremos es que estos regalos lleguen a ellos para mostrar que debe haber unidad y amor entre todos a pesar de las diferencias de culto.
And now who's that? Okay. Now I'm going to read the 3 verses in chapter 8. V'yom hahu natan hamelech Achashverosh le'Esther hamakah et Beit Haman. So where are Yehudim, Mordechai, Balefnei Hamelech, Higida, Esther, Mahulaha, Vayasar Hamelech, Etabato, Asher Averme, Haman. Vayitnala Mordechai, Vatasem Esther et Mordechai al Beit Haman. Vatosef Esther v'hadabar l'pnei Hamelach v'vatipol l'pnei Ragalaha v'tidhaluhu lehavit et dato Haman. Vayigad v'eid machshavot asher Moshe al haYehudim. Now I'm going to come to chapter 9, and chapter 9 is very important because you're going to see this rabbi do something that is unbelievable.
Ahora en el capítulo 9 vamos a ver algo que el rabino va a hacer algo nunca antes visto.
I took 2 specialty courses in rabbinical school.
Él tomó 2 cursos especiales en la escuela rabínica.
On Passover, you will see one of them.
En Pesach se puede observar uno.
This was a course that took 14 hours.
Era un curso que llevó 14 horas en hacerlo.
It was called Dividing the Middle Matzah Equally.
Y es dividir la matzah del medio perfectamente a la mitad.
And so on Passover, those of you that come, we're going to have, by the way, we're having a community Seder. It's not on the first 2 nights because we don't want to compete with any of the other synagogues. So we're going to have our own Seder on the 3rd, which is April the 8th, a Saturday evening.
Tendremos aquí nuestro ceder el sábado 8 de abril para no competir con ninguna de las otras sinagogas, así que será el tercer ceder de la comunidad.
And when we come to the Apikomen,
cuando llegamos a la parte del Apikomen,
which we hide for the children,
que es lo que escondemos para que los niños lo encuentren,
you will see this rabbi divide the Apikomen exactly in half.
Y ustedes van a poder ver lo que el rabino va a lograr esa noche, dividir ese matzah perfectamente a la mitad.
By the way, I got a C in that class.
Pasó consejo en la clase.
Now, the second class has to do with Purim.
Y la segunda clase que tomó especial tiene que ver con Purim.
You'll notice that chapter 9 I only have the Hebrew, chapter 9 on page 8.
Tenemos solamente el hebreo del capítulo 9.
Starting with the last 4 verses, or the last 3 verses, have the names of Haman's.
Los últimos 4 versos encontramos el nombre de las letras de Amán.
Sons.
De los hijos de Amán.
And this rabbi,
así que este rabino que está aquí,
who took this specialty course in rabbinical school,
que tomó este curso especial en escuela rabínica,
will recite all 10 names,
va a recitar los 10 nombres
in one breath.
De una sola suspiro. Así.
Thank you. All right, so get ready.
Sin respirar, perdón.
I know you will be overwhelmed by this talent I have.
Así que,
all right, so I'm going to read slowly the first 6 verses and then the last 3 at 100 miles an hour. Here we go. See, I can't even read the first word. Uvishneim asar, chodesh hu chodesh adar, v'shlosha asar yom abo asher yeredevar melech v'datoho v'ha'asot b'yom asher shibruhu evei ha'yehudim l'shlom b'hem v'nachamot lahu asher yishaltu ha'yehudim hema b'shatehem nivhalu ha'yehudim na'arehem b'chol ha'medinot Melecha Hashverosh l'shloach yad v'vakshetra atam v'ish lo amad lifnehem ki nafal pachtam hakol ha'amim v'chol asher ha'medinot v'het ha'ashtap avnim v'atuach v'yosei ha'malacha asher lamelech moseihem et ha'yehudim ki nafal bachur Mordechai aleihem ki gadol Mordechai b'beit ha'melech v'shamu haluk b'chol ha'medinot ki arin Mordechai halek v'gadol v'yachazu ha'yehudim B'chol oivehem, hamakei harev, v'harag, v'yavdei v'yasu, b'sonehem, v'v'shishan habira, hargu ha'yehudim, v'oved ha'mishmeyot ish. V'yet ha'gashan, v'yet shotam, v'yet esfam, v'yet poram, v'yet vilsam, v'yet havidam, v'yet vatshotam, v'yet harisam, v'yet harichem, v'yet v'yizata. Actually, you're not supposed to be applauding. Those were the horrible names of Haman's sons. Whoa, whoa. Thank you very much.
Eran los nombres de los 10 hijos del malvado Amán.
By the way, if you have recorded that, I'm going to ask you to send that to my rabbinical school teacher.
Esto que grabamos lo vamos a mandar a su maestro de la escuela rabínica.
All right, one more. No, it's two more songs. Another song similar to Shusha Shushan. I mean, it is Shusha Shushan, and it's not Shushan. It's Shusha Shushan. Okay.
La canción Shushan en página 8.
And it's sung to the song that you all know. You all know.
Sabemos.
Polly Wally Doo Doo Doo. Or sorry about that. Polly Wally Doo Da. I have never heard this song in my life. But it goes like this. Hey, my boy. Here we go. Oh, Haman was a high and mighty bluff, and Shushan long ago. He ordered Mordecai to take his derby off, and Shushan long ago. So we sing, so we sing, so we sing and raise a row. For Haman he was swinging, but Mordecai was singing, Shushan long ago. But Mordecai sat and laughed in his face, and Shushan long ago. And Haman swore he'd destroy the Jewish race, and Shushan long ago. So we sing, so we sing, so we sing and raise a row. For Haman he was swinging, but Mordecai was singing, Shushan long ago. Oh, Esther was a timid little and Shushan long ago. But Mordecai told her she needn't be afraid. Go. We're losing control. So we sing. So we sing. All right, that was a Freudian slip. All right, next verse. So she went to the king and she gave him a smile. Shushan long ago. The king liked both her manner and her style, and Shushan long ago. Everyone, so we sing. So we sing. So we sing and raise the row. For Haman he was swinging. Mordecai was singing. Shushan long ago. Achashverosh was the jolly little king. And Shushan long ago, he ordered Haman to take a little swing. Shushan long ago. So we sing. So we sing. So we sing and raise the row. For Haman he was swinging. Mordecai was singing. Shushan long ago. All right, the last chapter. It's only 3 verses.
Último capítulo, 3 versículos.
We're told that Mordecai the Jew is the second in command under King Ahasuerus, and that Purim will be celebrated from generation to generation.
Leemos entonces que Mardoqueo es el primer ministro, está en control, y aquí empezamos la celebración de Purim.
So I'm going to read the last chapter. Vayasem hamelach Ahasuerus masalama b'yaye hayam v'chol ma'aseh takapu gvurato farshav Lelot Mordechai asher gadlu hamelach Elohim kituvim al sefer divrei hayamim lemalchei madai uparas he Mordechai hayehudi nishna lamelech Ahasuerus v'gadol hayehudim ratzu larov achav yeshu tov la'amo v'dover shalom lechazaro. On the last page, by the way,
En la última página,
there was a beautiful article in English and Spanish in our newspaper that we used to have called Nashuva.
en el boletín que tuvimos, titulado Nashuva, publicamos esta hermosa historia.
So read this at your leisure. It was written actually by Aish HaTorah.
Eso lo encontramos en aish.com.
and it's very, very interesting.
Y lo podrán leer conforme tengan tiempo, pero es muy, muy interesante. Quisimos compartirla de nuevo aquí.
All right, before we go to have delicious hamantaschen and refreshments,
Antes de que vayamos a probar de los ricos hamantaschen que están listos aquí,
there's a few articles of business that I would like to discuss with you.
hay ciertas cosas que queremos comentarles esta tarde.
There's one sheet of paper if you are interested in adult or children education.
Tenemos una hoja que vamos a pasar por aquí. Si están interesados en obtener educación, ya sea para ustedes adultos y para sus hijos,
Fill out these papers and leave them here.
pongan su nombre, su información y déjenla aquí con nosotros.
And we hope to start classes for adults and for children. We see that there's a need in the community. I don't have all the details, but we will be starting very, very soon.
Y no tengo todavía los datos específicos, pero sí queremos empezar estas clases porque sabemos que hay necesidad en la comunidad. Así que pongan su información en estas hojas que pasaremos en un momento.
If you have not joined our Anusim Center Synagogue, please fill out these papers.
Y también tenemos estas pequeñas formas y aún todavía no se han hecho miembros de nuestra comunidad del Centro de Anusim Sinagoga. Por favor de llenarlo para tenerlos en nuestra lista.
Once again, I want to remind you that we do not charge any dues to be a member.
Y quiero recordarles que no cobramos ningún tipo de cuota como membresía,
But we ask everyone to make some donation,
pero pedimos que hagan algún tipo de donativo,
whatever it is.
lo que ustedes puedan o quieran.
And in fact, at the end of this service, if anyone would like to just make a donation tonight, it will be appreciated. This is not a hard sell. We didn't really ask anyone to do it. Anyone wants to do it just to help us continue the work that we're doing would be appreciated.
Y no les pedimos específicamente, pero quien desee y quiera apoyar para lo que llevamos a cabo, lo puede hacer esta noche.
And we need help on committees.
También buscamos su apoyo para ser miembros de un comité.
As I mentioned, on April the 8th, we are going to have a Seder.
Como mencioné anteriormente, el sábado 8 de abril tendremos nuestro Seder de Pascua.
If anyone wants to volunteer to be on that committee, please contact our co-presidents, Cesar and Blanca.
Y si alguien está interesado en ser parte de ese comité para coordinar ese evento, háganoslo saber ya sea a César a mí, que estamos apoyando como presidentes de la mesa directiva.
We also need a committee to help attract more members.
También necesitamos miembros que formen el comité para atraer más personas, más miembros aquí.
So if you want to be on the membership committee, also contact them.
Si quiere estar en el comité de membresía, háganoslo saber.
We also want to start our Nashuva newspaper one more time.
Queremos retomar el boletín de Nashuva.
If you have some talent in writing or want to help out with that,
Sí.
again, contact Cesar Blanca.
Si tiene, nos puede apoyar escribiendo artículos o apoyándonos a formar el boletín, háganoslo saber.
And if you just simply want to help out, we really, really appreciate it.
O si acaso en cualquier cosa pueden apoyarnos, háganoslo saber. Necesitamos de sus talentos y de su apoyo.
I just, in closing, I want to thank again Blanca and Cesar, our presidents, co-presidents who have really worked very, very hard, and our incredible committee. We have Yoli, you tell me, we have Aran and Yoli and Sarah. Anyone else? I don't want to leave anybody else out.
Sí, queremos agradecer a todos los que nos han apoyado para este servicio,
Kathy.
a todas las capacidades para que se lleven a cabo estos eventos.
And I want to also thank Aran for the Hamantaschen and for the gift certificates.
La familia de Irán, por los Hamantaschen, el apoyo para los premios de esta noche.
And I want to again thank Dr. Asael, who's standing in the back. who,
y al doctor Asael, que está aquí con
whose
nosotros.
generosity in allowing us to meet here is why we're able to do this. So we have winners for our contest.
Ya tenemos a los ganadores, pero bueno, lo menciono, gracias al doctor Asael y su generosidad estamos aquí esta noche. Así que,
Who are our winners for the costumes?
okay.
You may present them. All right.
All right. So for our traditional costume, Esther.
Pardon?
And for our most creative and fun is our pirate. Where's our pirate?
There he is.
Thank you.
Where were the prizes for everybody?
Okay.
Okay, for all of the kids that didn't win that prize, we have something, it's on the on the bar. If you are, I don't mean the bar mitzvah, okay, so. You know the old joke about the kid that had a party, the party was more bar and less mitzvah. Anyway, there are prizes back there for the kids to take. Please take one, whether you came in costume or not, we just want you here.
Sí, a todos los niños, adolescentes, por haber estado aquí, tenemos unos pequeños obsequios. Adelante, ojalá y los disfruten.
And do we have now we have a prize for the noisiest, creative,
Ándale, Ray, ¿dónde estás?
who's got
¿Dónde
it?
está Ray? ¿Quién va a ser el ganador de la matraca más ruidosa?
She was really good at it.
Okay.
All right, come on up.
Mira, good job. Good job.
So thank you all for coming. We have some terrific commentation. I want to thank Margarita, who is the chef here, for helping out and for all of the activities that we have for making food for us. We really want to thank her. Folks, for the Passover, we'll send out something right away, but we found out today that we have room only for 70 people at the Seder. So you're going to have to make reservations. But we'll send out something this week about that, okay?
Queremos agradecer a Margarita que tan amablemente nos prepara comida deliciosa y al doctor Asael que nos apoya con eso. Muchas gracias, Margarita. En cuanto a la cena de Pesaj, solamente podemos tener 70 personas aquí, así que en cuanto empecemos a mandarles notificación, tienen que hacer reservación por razón de que el espacio es limitado.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Asa's wife, Reina, and daughter, Nicole, who are here. Thank you very, very much for always supporting us.
Rina y su hija Nicole, muchísimas gracias por todo el apoyo.
And please have some refreshments, have some hamantashen, have a good time. We told them we would be leaving at 7:30 so that the staff here doesn't have to stay that late. Thank you all for coming. It's been a great, great evening.
Muchas gracias por venir. Espero que disfruten la comida. Estamos en contacto. Bye bye. You failed to pick up.
Adiós a todos. Bye bye.
So you see, you don't bring.
Look how many people lined up coming. Ooh, goodbye. You be well, okay?
Danke.
Okay. Oh, I didn't thank Bill. Thank you, Bill. Sorry. Thank you next time. Thank you, everybody who Zoomed. All 7,000 people, ladies and gentlemen, from all over the world, Zoomed. Oh, I missed one. It's 7,001. We missed that guy from Nicaragua. Huh? Oh, to play.